All right, this morning I think I'm gonna get started by punching a couple holes in here. I think I'm gonna go with it where the top of this sits, just like this is right here. Countersink a hole. I'll make a tube where I can put maybe an Allen or something in there like that. So let's see what we can figure out. So for starters, since that thing's so big and hard to move around, I'm gonna use this for a pattern. And one thing nice about Warren winches is all of their dimensions on pretty much all their winches, like the bigger ones, they're all 4.5 spread right here, and then 10-inch spread from side to side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this laid out on the front bumper and probably go ahead and just put some pilot holes in, and I'll get the two top ones hanging in there, and then I'll let it hang down below like this, and then I'll figure out the bottom bracket from there. So let's get started with that, getting the layout. So for starters, one of the things I do, I like to pilot my holes. I draw all the way around, and I don't know if you can see it, but that ain't even close. Like I'm off an 1/8 inch, and I've taken my deal to try and see back here is almost impossible for me, but I'm off pretty good, like not quite an 1/8, but enough that, so I'm gonna have to fix that real quick, which I'll just hog this hole down. That's why I start with the pilot hole. I can kind of push that one down on the inside, hopefully. So don't tell no one my technique, but basically I'm just going to push that down. And then I'm gonna push this one up just a little bit. And I'm a whole lot closer. And this is the little bit smaller drill bit still. So I'm gonna do the same on here. That one's perfect. Then I'll go to the right size drill bit, and I'll do that again. I know this is some redneckery. If I could just measure straight and drill straight, we wouldn't be going through this. Nice and straight. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna hole saw that 1 inch, because I want a piece of 1-inch tubing to slide through. And then I'm going to, because I don't want bolts sticking out on the front, I want them in flush. So I'm gonna take 1-inch 120 wall, and then I'm gonna slide 3/4 inside of that 1-inch 120 wall with a 7/16 ID. Then what I'll do is an Allen bolt will be able to go through there and into the winch, so it's gonna look nice and flush. So I'll probably have to run to the hardware store and get some Allens real quick, but won't take but a second. Get a good chance to use my sweet drill bits again. And then when I go to the valley, I'm gonna get the bigger set that I was supposed to get. So we'll get these all done up. And hate when they fall in there like that. This spring just pushes them in. It's kind of nice that you don't have to pick it out of the deal, but and I hate when my battery dies like that as well. Damn battery. Okay. Get my magnet on that right there so I can keep it from falling in. One less piece I gotta dig out of there. Whoop, there we go. Too nice. So I drilled them, sanded them, and then I opened the front hole up just a little bit with my little rotary file, and I left the back one so that I could tap it. That way it holds it in position, and then that will get welded in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mark these ones, and then I'll cut them off. I'll cut 2 of them, and then I'm gonna go inside of that with my 3/4 tubing, and then I'll have to get that Allen bolt. All right, let me show you what I got. So this is 3/4 DOM 120 wall for a 1/2 inch, and what I've done is I've stuck it inside of here, and this is going to be countersunk into the 2-inch or the 2x4, the frame rail. So this will be set in a little flush. So I want this where it's flush right here, so when I weld it, it's actually going to be countersunk. And this is a 1/2 inch bolt because I don't have a 7/16 right now, but I'm using it to mock up my pieces until I go to the hardware store. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this right here. That's gonna be my cut. So let me show you. When I pull that out, this is what's gonna get TIG welded in here. I don't know if you can see that good, but this goes inside the 1-inch tubing, and it's gonna fit a little bit different because this will be 7/16 ID, where this is 1/2 inch, so you get what I'm saying. And there you go. We got our piece that goes in the frame. I just gotta weld it up. That's what it's gonna look like once it's all done. Had to come to the old Ace Hardware, get my bolts. So just in case you wanna know, that's what I use on my saw blades and stuff when I'm cutting aluminum. Well, the hardware store didn't have 7/16, so I grabbed some 1/2 inch and some new square nuts. I'm gonna see if they'll fit in on that winch. And I came to AutoZone real quick to get some belts and some hoses for the FJ40. I'm on my way back. Jess just called me and says we have a visitor there, so hopefully we're not making them wait too long. Got work to do. So Joel, an old acquaintance that I met. Tell us the story how I met you, Joel.
We met at the old XRRA up there in Colorado Springs, and Shannon here blew out an ARB, and everybody was just standing around. And I said, well, mind if I help? He said, well, if you know what the hell to do. So me and his dad and one other guy, we rebuilt that thing in his trailer, and his dad got me all drunk on Crown Royal. I said, I still got to drive home, so I better stop. So
this was back in the old rock racing days in Cortez, or
probably 15, 16 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
So Joel's on vacation with his mom and his wife and his kid, heading down to Phoenix. I said, they're going the wrong way. It's a little hot down south.
No. We decided to get out of town.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you guys stopped by to say hi.
Of course. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Say hi. No, you're going to be shy? Tell him what kind of car you have. Tell him.
He's like, I'm going to go out here and get in this one. Well, I'm glad you guys stopped by. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming by the coop and saying hey, man. It's nice to see you guys.
Letting us stop by.
Yep.
Good luck.
You're welcome anytime. You guys take care. Nice talking to Joe. It's been a long time since I seen him. And they even brought us some wine. Good thing we're alcoholics over here. Not, but we really appreciate it, Joe. Thank you and your wife and your mom for coming by and saying hey at the coop. Okay, when I went to the hardware store, they didn't have these in 7/16, but they did have them in 1/2 inch, which is perfect. But the only thing is that this doesn't fit. So I'm drilling this out, and what I've done is I've taken and sanded this down. This is a 1/2 inch nut, and it will work fine. Bigger's better, right? Sorry, I gotta modify your winch, Warren, but I don't have 7/16 bolts and I don't feel like waiting. Check that out. Warren approved. All right, let's try not to mess this up, if you know what I mean now. We're gonna go ahead and open this up and hopefully, oh, all right, now let's see if this works. Oh, that one's a little tight. I might need to put a little more sand on it. Oh, looky there. There's the chief, the boss.
Got my new springy nails.
Oh, Easter eggs, huh?
I don't see any Easter eggs.
Let me see.
He's blind.
Well,
Spring. All right, I gotta go
spring.
finish this video and then I have a call.
Oh yeah, you better get to work. Yeah, oh wait, she had a nail appointment. Now what's your next appointment at 12? See, I want to get tan. Yes, sir. Look at that. Stronger's better, right? And then if I really want to get creative, I could silicone them in there so I don't have to worry about losing them. I never thought about that before. Okay, so let's take and get this up in here. We'll tap this in. And we want it to where it's perfect on both sides. And then this will go like this. Check that out. What do you think? I know, it's not done, that's what I think. So, I'm using my worn winch hoist to mount my worn winch. I got one side done. I spotted this side. I wanted to make sure everything was true before I welded it up. And it looks like it's pretty good, so what do you think? And then this is how much hangs out the bottom. It's still above the springs and back behind the spring hangers or whatnot. So once I make this piece, I'll probably, I'm not sure yet, but I'll put a fair lead out here somehow. I'm not sure, but I think it's gonna be pretty badass. I'm not sure what I would do without this worn winch. This thing comes in so handy just doing this stuff. When you're working by yourself especially, it kind of makes it a no-brainer, if you know what I mean. like that. Then I forgot to open up my hole. So let me make sure it's cleaned out. Yes, sir. Then we can put this one up here. Oh, dropped my nut. So, let me know what you think of my winch mount here. Once I get this top bolted up, then I can work on trying to figure out what I'm going to do on the bottom, because to tell you the truth, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know I got to do something. All right, check that out. Nice and clean. Now the next thing is I need to probably put a plate here, and I'm not sure, it really doesn't need to be tied back in, you know, like on the other winches, because they mount horizontal. I'll come off of here and run it to the radiator mount. I don't think I need to on this one, but what I'm going to do is take a piece of 1/4 inch plate and come down and weld it to the bottom of the bumper. You know, it's a face mount just like all of them. The only problem I have, I would like to use this, but man, that would be cool if I cut that in there. That might be a little too much work, but I don't know. What do you think if I cut that and set it back in flush? I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into that much work, but it would be pretty cool seeing that up in there like that, huh? Dang it. You guys are making it hard on me. I was literally gonna cheat and cut the top of it off and just mount it up in there where you couldn't see it, but the extra mile would be, make it work, Shannon. Check this out. I'm cutting it. I'm doing it. And look at the way that the angles are on the ends out here. Almost looks like a worn. This is gonna be a worn bumper. They're gonna love this. It's all worn. And that'll be countersunk in and just barely protruding out. I'm loving it. Okay, I'm gonna start with some 1 inch flat strap. This is nice to work with just because it's already, I don't have to cut it or anything. I'm just gonna start with the length. And I'm gonna go from here, I'll go a little bit long, and then I'm gonna break it to follow this perfectly. So let's get a measurement on that. All right, let's chop this off in the old Piranha here and see what turns out like. Check it out. So now actually I'll just draw this on the chassis, and then I'll cut and weld this in after I'll make a template that kind of covers everything. Shit's about to get real sexy because I'm impatient. I'm countersinking this in there, and then with these angles on the end, it makes it look like it's a worn bumper. Gonna look badass. Some final cuts, and she's gonna fall out if everything works out right. Let's try persuading it with a hammer. What do you say? I think I got one right here. Just like that. Now, check it out. That's gonna be our look, something like that. Here comes the boss. Let's see if she approves. Okay, what do you think of my dream here?
I got you lunch.
Yeah.
I got my tanning in. Now I'm gonna go to the bank.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna withdraw some money. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she's lying. There ain't gotta have money. You gotta have money to withdraw.
You don't know what money you have to withdraw.
I don't have any, I'm sure. I got a wife.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What do you think? That's gonna look cool flush, huh?
Yep. It's very nice. I like it.
Well, maybe I'll
Did
be
you do
done
that
by
with
the time
ours?
you get back from blowing our money. It'll be the back plate. I'm gonna cut it out and then I'll weld it all on the bench and hopefully it'll be ready to install. Well, my cuts aren't perfect, but I got a nice V to weld and I'll fill that and sand it and it'll look like I was professional, LOL. What she's looking like so far. Everything's just kind of loose. It protrudes just a little bit. Okay, this is gonna be for the bottom. This is actually gonna be the lower mount. And because it's an odd size, it's probably like 15/16. I'm going to box out 2 pieces of 3/16 and then wrap it and wrap the inside so the rope doesn't scuff on this. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get it up there. But what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna take my tube stack and transfer these holes. That's a 3/4 hole, and that's because I'm gonna put a 3/4 tube through it and weld it so it'll be like an encased piece. It's all boxed up with 2 tubes in the middle instead of making it a solid chunk of iron. So what I did, I made them identical and I punched this hole 3/4 and I didn't clean it up so that it actually press fit this spacer in there. That way I can make it perfect. And then I need 5/8 between the two, so I got me some nuts that are 5/8 and I'm gonna do this. And then this one here, I opened up, I bored out. That way it set over it freely. And then I'll go in there and I'll spot them. And then I'll wrap this and weld it up. And then once I get that all done, then I'll weld this onto the car. What do you think? Some redneckery. TMR machete, done it again. Made some nice wraps. Now I just gotta weld this piece up, get everything straightened up, and we'll be ready for an install. My buddy Rob from school showed up. How's it going, Rob?
What's going on?
He's up here getting ready to build a place, and he said he was bored and didn't want to go to the bar, so he came by. Imagine that. Maybe we'll just go to the bar and quit all this nonsense. All right. This is my bracket that's gonna weld to the bottom of the bumper to go between. I hope you like it. I like it. I could have got a lot more crazy and spent another day or two making a different type of bracket, but I don't know. That's getting carried away. All right, that's all spotted up there. I'm pretty stoked with how it turned out. It looks pretty sweet. Now my next little project, I'm gonna weld these on, and then I'm gonna make a patch plate that goes over it so it covers more surface and welds on, and then we'll be done for the night. Jess made me some carne asada tacos before she left me tonight. Getting stuff done. Not starving. Now I'm making the front plates for the bumper, and these will be coming through it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna punch these out so I can put this over this piece, and when I'll weld this on first, that way it's to the frame, and then I'll put this over it and weld it to it again, and then weld this around. Or actually, I'm gonna have Pete do it. I'll get it spotted up there. He does a lot better than I do, so. But I'll be able to weld this on and get it all spotted up tonight. All right, let's see how this works out. Quick little look before I put them on there. So start by putting these on, and then we'll slide the plates over them and spot them. That works out pretty good. We got it welded to the base there, and then this goes right over it. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of beveling for my weld on the back side, but you get the point. Can't wait to see this all welded up. I think it's gonna look pretty sweet with some weld detail on it. And then them lights that Eddie made, they'll be cut in right here, so they'll be in the bumper instead of on top of the bumper. It'll be a little cleaner, I think, and it'll match the rear because I did the rears the same way. And the belt that I got today, I got the same one that's on the Scrambler, and I need about another 1/2 inch. It must just be a little different, or the belt's a little different, but now I'm gonna take and cut these hoses up. What I usually do is come out of here, and then I'll build aluminum tube splice, and I'll clamp it up here and kind of hide it. So I got a couple different hoses, and I'm gonna trim them. And these two upper ones will work. The one that I got for the lower and the rear, I need one with less bend. So it's just almost straight, like a little bit of a curve. But so I'll take them back tomorrow and go ahead and cut this one tonight. Time to get to work. I got the front bumper done yesterday. Today, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I could mount shocks, or I could start on the rear bumper, which is going to be a whole lot of work. So I'm gonna have to flip a coin, decide what I wanna do today. Like a squirrel this morning again, all over the map. I just trying to come up with something different. I've done a bunch of different things, and as far as mounting this, I've got a tailgate that the bolts have to go through here, so I can't just weld something on the end. I can't weld the bumper on. I'm gonna have to make it bolt on. And on the Scrambler, I cut a pocket in the tube on my bumper, and it slid over the frame and then bolted in. Well, because I don't have my light yet from Eddie, you know, it's gonna mount in the bumper is my plan for it, to keep it where it's flush. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'll trim this frame rail down, and I'm gonna weld a cap in here and put, you know, just cap it. And then what I think I'll do is I'll bolt through here. I'll probably weld some sleeves in or whatever and make plates on the side. But this is gonna set pretty close. It's set, you know, where it's probably got just enough room for a gap, like 1 inch or something like that. So that'll be like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by cutting the centerpiece of my bumper, and I'm gonna make it where it's that width of the outside of the frame rails, and I'll cut all the windows in and do the license plate hole and everything. But then what I wanna do is once I get that up here where I want it, where that slides over, then I wanna kinda take and bring up like this, and I'm gonna make this part of the bumper, you know, maybe where it's modular, actually where maybe it bolts to this part of the bumper somehow, because I want to bolt it to the body. I want it to look industrial, just beefy looking, and I want to use some plate. And what my idea is maybe, you know, come up at an angle like this, and then as I'm coming around, maybe go ahead and just wrap this in, you know, like 3/16 plate, and then make it stick out like this, and that comes at a taper. And these bends, you know what I mean? I might not even be able to do them. this is my imagination going crazy. But then this, you know, has this angle. So this will look like that, goes like that. But it's gonna transition from, you know, this is gonna have a 1 inch gap. So this will be sticking out 3 inches. So I'm gonna angle this back in to 2 inches. So I'll have 1 inch of angle on this when it comes in, and I'll make all this out of sheet metal. I won't use no rectangle tube or anything. And that's my plan. I gotta come out far enough though to get the light inside the pocket. I'll get the light tomorrow. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start on the center of the bumper. I kinda know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make it look similar to the Scrambler. So I'll kinda show you what I got going on out here. And this is a lot of work just doing this, cutting the windows in and stuff. And you can see how this just looks plain. Well, that Land Cruiser, I want it to look just massive, and I want that bumper to tie into to whatever I'm gonna figure out for a fender flare. But here's the window. You know, I'm gonna do something like this, and you can see, so this tube goes inside here. I'm not gonna do that this time. I'm gonna make it where it slides over, and then there's a bolt that goes in between. I'm gonna leave enough room where I can get in between there, like with a impact swivel or something, and put a bolt through, and it'll be a blind nut probably in this portion, and that's what bolts on, and then I'll bolt it to the body so it just massive looking, you know. So I'm gonna start with just doing this for now, getting that portion of it made, and probably do the same thing, the window, real similar to that. So I don't know, my mind, I get stuck on the same things all the time, you know, and try and do something different. So maybe something will spark up while I'm doing this and go from there. But I got a piece of 2x8 3/16, so it's nice and beefy. This is what I'm gonna start the deal out of. Start by getting a length on here. I'm gonna be 41.5 outside of frame rail, so get my mark on there. Then we'll get this marked on here, and we know that we want to be 4 inches to the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and go 4.5, I think. No, I'm not sure. All right, I've already messed up. So what I did is I marked my length on here, which is 41.5 outside of the frame rails. That gives me a little bit of clearance. And I put my license plate center in here. And I went about 5/16 to 3/8 oversize. By the time I strap that back in with a piece of 1/8 inch to make it nice and strong, it's going to be perfect, and I'll have room for a license plate light and whatnot. But here's where I messed up. When I drew this angle, so I cut this, and then I cut right along here, and then I bend that back up in. Well, what I failed to forget is this is roughly 15 inches, and then when I go right here, it's 14.5. So what I need to do is I need to shift all this a 1/2 inch down that way and start over. So I need to be basically a 1/2 inch long on the bottom, and then I'll trim this in. Kind of dumb, but it makes it nice when you just take this same rolled piece, cut that and bend it up, and then I just fill the weld it. You know, I'll put like some little spacers in here to hold my shape and whatnot. And then once I get all that spotted and welded and everything and sanded, then I go in here and I cut my window out. That way I know everything's perfectly true, and I transfer to the other side, and then I strap that in as well. Okay, I've got this redrawn now. I went ahead and added an extra inch just to be safe. Now I'm gonna take my tube stack and I'm gonna come in the corners, and I'm gonna punch this so that I'll use 1.25 inch hole saw. Actually, you know what? I want to use the new hole saws, and I don't think I have 1.25 inch. I think all I have is 1 1/8 inch. So that might be a little bit tricky, but I'm gonna get these tomorrow. But for now, you know what? We'll just do 1 1/8 inch. So by the time what I'll do is I'll switch this out to 1 inch. And by the time I draw that, if I use my marker, that should be 1 1/8 inch. What I did, because I don't have 1.25 inch carbide tooth hole saw yet, and I want to use them because this is a lot of drilling, but I used my 1 inch tube stack, drew a line around it, which put me at about 1 1/8 inch, and I center punched it. And you can see after I hole sawed it, it's perfect. So these things are badass. Hardest part about this is remembering where to cut and where not to cut. I got a bunch of different lines, and I screwed up already and cut. This was my little extension piece. I cut the line because I'm an idiot, but I just welded it back up. It's basically just the bottom cap. It'll get sanded in when it's all done. So don't mess up like me. And when you're cutting it, this is what it does. And it collapses right here, so it's just some of the stuff you have to deal with. And before I go cutting that other side, I'll get this side spotted down nice where it holds its shape and it's not as sharp sticking out there trying to get me. Getting better. Okay, because this closes up, I make some spreaders and get it to where it's back at 2 inches. And you can sacrifice them and leave them in there, or you can hammer them out. What I'll probably do is when I cut the window, I'll probably reach in there and just get my wrenches, get a set of small wrenches, and pull it out. Very easy. So that's how I do that. And then once I get it to the perfect deal, then I'll push this down. She's getting closer. Where are you off to?
I need to go to my office for a little bit.
Oh, no tanning sessions?
Yeah,
or...
that's later.
Right on.
Noon-ish.
What's for lunch?
Leftovers.
Are you saying that's leftover?
No. No.
I
Leftovers.
don't ever leave none on that plate.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of leftovers to clean up in there.
All right. As long as you make them for me. Make me some fresh shells for my tacos.
I was actually thinking some Taco Bell because in one of my TikTok live rooms this morning, there was this huge conversation about Taco Bell and it's made me hungry.
All right, well, give me some tacos.
Okay, love you.
Love you. So I'm on the second side, getting ready to put the bolts in. I actually got them out on the other side pretty easy. I made them short enough and easy to get to, one from each side, so coming together. So when you go to pull this down, leave a little bit of a gap for a weld, and what it does is it helps you get that transition perfect where you know, the blade thickness. I tried to use the thinnest blade possible, but that's about how far you want to leave it off. That way it comes out proportional. You can see this side, I got it all done. So I got it laid out on both sides, and you can see how I transferred my vertical lines using a speed square or whatever you call that damn thing. But and I marked the same thing with my my 1-inch tube stack. I marked them and center punched them, and I'll do that same thing on the other side. Then I'll cut these out. Got one cut out. You can see my little spreaders in there. Now it'll be easier to get to them. Just got to do this one. And I got this side done just in time because look who's back with my lunch.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. You don't expect me to eat El Scorcho stuff, do you? Thank God that's done. I don't know how many discs I've burned up. At least 6. Cutting that thing, and what a mess. I got a mess everywhere, so I'm gonna clean this up and we'll start working on the wraps. Check it out, and check out.
It's probably just easier to show you this pillowcase instead of the comforter because I can't hold the whole thing up, but that matches the comforter.
That's for our
Camper.
ARB tent.
Yep, so.
And there's a comforter.
Yeah, this giant comforter. Somewhere here. I don't want to get it on the ground. Even though
Sweet.
if I don't wash it. Here it is.
Can't wait to use our tent again.
Ah,
Pretty cool, dear. Yeah,
fine, huh?
it's very nice. Good old AutoZone guy shows up, brought me the right belt, and I said, pick me out a hose with just a slight bend, and he got the perfect hose. Thank you, Paul.
No worries, brother.
Hell yeah.
You call over there.
Yep, fits like a glove. So now we're going to trim this hose up so that it fits perfectly. like so. Now let's put it on there. We're gonna start by putting a little Amsoil silicone spray just to make it slide together friendlier, if you know what I mean. I need to trim it just a little bit more. Probably another 1/4 inch. All right, see if second time's the charm today. Oh yeah. Like we knew what we were doing, if you know what I mean. Look at that. And then I just need to make a splice to hold that together up there. It's gonna work out good. Let's get back over here. I need to cut this off to make a piece to wrap into the bumper there. It needs to be like 1 3/4 inches, and then I'll have a full 1/8 inch of weld. Man, I sure wish I had a shear. That'd be nice. I could be done with that in a second, speeding up my job. Man, I hate cutting long runs like this. I guess it wasn't that bad. I just missed my old shear that I used to have. This cut, I've taken out my 3/4 tube out of my tube stack and slid over the machete because I'm 1 1/8 outside radius. So this should be really close being an inside radius. I don't want to use the smaller size. And then this is taller, so it'll fit my piece a little better. So I'm gonna start rolling that. Figure out how to use this thing. It's very handy. Let me show you. I mean, look at that. Pretty sweet. I'm gonna kind of show you my little trick that I do. So I start with one, and once I know it's perfect, this line, when this piece was going straight, was just like this. So this is the outside of this line. The way I got that was basically going like that, even though I know that wasn't on there perfect, but you can kind of see where it's at right there. And what I do is when I stick it over in here, it's kind of hard to hold this camera and whatnot. But so this line right here, you want it where it's on the outside of this roller. So account for the thickness of your metal, you know what I mean? And then when I bend that and it comes this way, it's gonna be perfect. I didn't want to go too far, but I'm on the money. I just need to bend it just a little bit more. Here's my line. And I marked it back 1/8 inch to account for the thickness of the material because we're looking at the outside dimension. Pretty happy. This thing's pretty sweet. This is 1/8 inch. This thing bends it perfect. The only thing I wish they had, and they might even have something, but like if this had a platform on it almost, or you know what I mean, so it holds your, or back here where it holds the rest of your material level. Trying to get it level on this little piece right here is almost, it's hard. But this has to sweep, so yeah, if they just had a table that kind of came up against this that you can put on there, or I guess I could drop it down in the vise and use that for a shelf, but what I need to do is just make this where it's attached to my table, make a fixture for it, so it uses the table as a deal. Okay, I'm gonna try and show you what I got going on here. Hopefully this works out for you. So I get this where it's set and level on here, and then there's I'm up against that. Actually, I want to go on the inside of it. So that's what I'm thinking right there. That's my inside dimension. Let's hope it fits. Look at that. Okay, let me show you how perfect. Look at, I'm in right there, I'm in right there. And I'm Nat's ass right there. Pretty sweet. Now I just have to cut it. And I like to cut it like right where that bin starts. Right here, and then I'll cut them both actually. And I put them in the bandsaw and cut them so they're perfect match for each other. And then when it's at the start of the bend, you can take and like I'll fuse weld that thing from the backside, I'll burn through, and I might just take the TIG and hit the front. But then I can use my barrel sander and you won't even notice where the seam is when I'm all done. So look at my marks. See, I got 2 marks. I'm perfect inside and I'm perfect right there. So now I just cut straight through both of these. And what a real bummer is this is just like a 1/2 inch shy of being perfect for the other side. So now I got to cut another full run, actually 2 more full runs off that sheet in order to make all 3 pieces, like the license plate and blah blah blah, if you know what I mean. So it just don't get no better than that. That is Nat's ass. Got it pressed in there. So I'll actually spot that and do a little hammering on the bench and sanding just to make it perfect. And we'll make some more. We'll go ahead and just leave that one there and cut some more out. If you don't have one of these machetes, you better get one. They got an even bigger one than this I was gonna get, but this one is pretty sweet. And like I said, I just take my tube stack and I got different tubes to put on here for different things. But, I mean, you just seen how quick I made that piece. Once you get good at it, it goes fast. We got that one in. This one's all fit. That is what you call a precision fit. I can't believe how lucky I've gotten using the machete. I love it. Drilled a hole in it, put a light in it for the license plate light. So that's done. And then I'll drill another hole in the back of the bumper to come into this. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out for now. It's easier to have this stuff done. Look at that. And I just clamp it. Fits like a glove. Can you believe that? Check that out. It's hard to believe it took me all day to build this. I can't believe it. And anyways, we're gonna figure out the rest of it when I get back. I gotta go to the valley tomorrow, take a my spare tranny down there, let them fix it or just redo the valve body on it. And then they got the valve bodies all done and stuff. We were waiting for them to get a gasket. They're having a gasket made, just a little double insurance, and no one else uses a gasket anymore, and I don't know why, but so they decided to go ahead and make one. That way, even if something was messed up, there wouldn't be no problems. So we'll get down there in the morning and get back here, get back to work. They're late night, but check out this chef salad or whatever it is my wife made me. She's a good girl. I got up early this morning, headed to the valley. I'm pumping Ricky some race fuel off. He's got a race. He's gonna go to Prim, I guess, this next week or a couple of weeks or something like that. So a bunch of running around to do in the valley, and man, I love this pump. Nice and simple, battery powered. And got a nice little gauge on it and everything. Gotta love it.
Happy Friday, guys. I just left Pine. Now I'm entering Strawberry on my way over to Baghdad, which is about a 4-hour drive from home, one way. But Kennedy has doubleheader softball game there and our games, and she did not want to wait for the team to get her home tonight because she's got to dance. And I said, well, I'm not doing anything, so I would be happy to come over and watch the games and bring you home so you can get ready for the dance. I know Shannon was a little bummed because I couldn't do all the running around he's doing in the valley today, but so be it. I guess that's just how it goes. So anyway, I'll try to get some video of the softball game later, and we'll see what else is in store for Friday.
My next stop is Industrial Metal Supply. I'm gonna get a piece of they have some receiver material that's roughly 2.5. It's a little bit oversized, but it'll work perfect for a spring perch. And I'm gonna get that. They have a 2-foot section of it, and then I can also use it for the receiver on the back of the Toyota, because I'm gonna put a trailer hitch on it. He'll use it if he wants to tow his boat.
Head towards South Priest Drive.
Whatever.
At the next light, use the right 2 lanes to turn right.
Yeah, and then I just got off the phone with Hughes. They got the gasket.
At the light, turn right onto South Priest Drive.
And do some filming on that so I can show you guys the new finish on the valve body. And they actually went a step above, and no one uses gaskets anymore, but they had a gasket made. That way we don't have this problem again. So, and we'll be racing next week if everything works out smoothly. And I was really wanting to go wheeling Saturday, but we're gonna go ahead and just get some work done. Peter and Donnie are coming up. I think Donnie's gonna come and set up the gears in the ARB in the FJ, and then Peter's just gonna come start welding up all the junk that I've added to it. So it's turned out to be a pretty good Friday, other than Jess. I said, hey, you want to go with me? And she hates driving to the valley because it's such a pain in the butt, and she ended up going to the other house, and turns out she's on her way to Baghdad for a softball game, that's even worse than driving to the valley. But she's going to watch her daughter play softball. She don't get to see too many of the games, and they got a doubleheader over there, so she's driving to Baghdad. Serves her right for ditching me. Well, that was quick and easy, thanks to my good friend John. I forgot to introduce you to him. That was rude of me. He takes pretty good care of me. I literally called him and said, hey, I need this. And he's been working from home, like phone stuff, but he says, oh no, I'm here, come on in. So, gotta love it. Thanks, John. Here we are, Valley Spring. Get my U-bolts picked up. Clean old Scout sitting out here. It must be one of theirs. You don't see these around too much anymore. I used to work at a Coors distributorship that had a Scout dealership there. The Pierces owned it, so they had a Scout parts room, and I used to go in there and get all kinds of stuff. when I was building Jeeps, we'd use the parts. Another Scout. Must be Scout season. Got my U-bolts. Thank you guys at Valley Spring for making it easy. Walk-in service. I'm pretty excited. It's Friday and things are going smoothly. Just rolling up to Hughes. We're gonna go in here and get this valve body put on and show you guys, and yeah, then I can get back up the mountain. So we got the trannies done. We got put together, and Matt went further with it and made some gaskets. That way we know we're not gonna have any failure, but besides that, they got the new machine, the program, and the fixture to surface the valve bodies and stuff. So we double killed it on this one, right, Matt?
Yes, sir. Valve bodies are within 8 tenths of being flat. The gaskets got no more issues.
Right on. So can't wait to go racing again next week. I was waiting. They got a guy from Sonax here. He's over here giving a little class on checking for leaks and stuff. He's got some fixtures he made, you know, for checking pumps and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. I got a little schooling while I'm here. I haven't built a tranny in 20 years, but this guy's like the master and teaching these guys the right way to check everything. That way there is no failures. They're using a little vacuum pump. And he's got all kinds of little stuff to check. All kinds of stuff. This is a 4L60 that they're working with, and yeah, he's just teaching them. Here's the new surface. Now look at that. Like a mirror. Pretty sweet, huh, guys? So Thomas has got my spare up here on the dyno, and we're just gonna change the valve body right on here. Put the gaskets in. This is my spare. It was a fresh rebuild that hasn't been ran yet, but we're changing the valve body just to update everything with the new stuff. So just so you can kind of tell, this is the old one that has been sanded, and this is the new one that's been machined. Just so you guys can see the difference. This is like a mirror finish, a lot bigger finishing tool. Things are looking good. Got some studs to align it, and shift the plate. And then this other gasket's right here. So he's got it all hooked up on the dyno. We just threw a couple of pan bolts because when they're done, they actually pull it back off. And because he put gaskets on it, he's going to retorque the valve body after he runs it. And then they'll put a new pan gasket on it. And all that good stuff. All right, Thomas is gonna fire up the old dyno and check some pressures. surface, which was down to 0 with the other valve body at an idle. So things are looking good. It's always nice to find your problem. It's like a victory. And poor Thomas is over here beating my tranny up probably harder than I'm ever gonna beat it up. Look at, I felt like he was racing this thing, man. What the hell, Thomas? This is like a video game. He's winning, gonna get some extra points. He said he hadn't been fired yet. Matt said he's gonna give it a spin. Now you want the real e-ticket ride, you gotta drive the car. He says he's not liking the needle bouncing back and forth on that. Like maybe something in the pump, but we'll let him figure that out. Thomas, I said, hell, you're beating my tranny up. I don't even drive it that hard racing.
That's right.
He's like, yeah, he's winning. There was a little fluctuation in pressure, nothing crazy, but he's thinking, well, is it got another internal leak or something, maybe pump, or so retorquing these definitely anyway. Yeah, that's a thick gasket, and that's another thing we're kind of questioning, you know, why don't they use gaskets anymore? Could that become a problem? So we're kind of just checking things out. How do you do it unless you learn, right? So we're thinking we're going to go ahead and pull the gasket because we know we haven't ran gaskets before, and we know the machine on the last one was what the problem was. So now that we got a good surface, we're going to remove the gaskets, and maybe later we'll go back to a thinner, super thin gasket material, but I think it's going to be fine probably without it because of the surface that we have now. We're going to remove the gasket, let Thomas run the Baja 500 again over here and beat it up and see what the pressure looks like after we take the gasket off. So we've removed the gasket. We've been talking about it. He's saying the OE gasket on the old trannies when they used to use them was around 20 thou, did you say, Matt? 15 thou. So, and that gasket material that he had a hard time finding gasket material right quickly, and that was 50 thou, and just torquing and everything, we're thinking, you know, that's probably not a good idea. Let's go ahead and try it with the new surface without the gasket, and later when we can find the right material, we maybe do a gasket. But if we've been running metal to metal and whatever, no gaskets for this many years, I guess there's a reason for it. And the thicker the material of the gasket, the more we're going to lose torque. You're going to have to keep torquing it, I feel like, until it takes too long. So without gasket, we'll be able to torque it. They'll put a little heat in it, we'll retorque it, and we'll be done. Thomas, you ready to rip it? He's like, yeah, I'll beat it up. Feeling the tranny with the pump. Everybody, this is Randall from Sonax, and he's the one teaching the class here today that I got to listen in on a little bit of stuff. He's teaching people
how to find leaks. You got
Yeah.
a failure, the failure happened because of leaks, we can find them. And that's what the class was about, how to find leaks. So
I said I wish I'd have known him when I was a kid when I tried my stab at a few
We've been best
trannies.
friends. Of course, we've been best friends.
Yeah, but thank you.
Excellent. Thanks.
Here is the second transmission. Putting the valve body on, then we're gonna check it as well. So tranny number 2 on there running. And we were watching this little bit of a fluctuation in the gauge, thinking it might be something, but after all this looking, we're thinking it's just gauge itself. Well, everything seems to be nice and in order. Thank you guys for everything, man. I'm gonna go grab some parts and I'll be back to pick up my goodies. Thank you. Well, I'm glad that all went good. We got everything situated. I'm going over to Copper State to grab some hole saws that I need real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and grab them transmissions. They said they'd be all ready, and I'll probably grab me a bite to eat. Man, it is hotter than two-pecker, I don't know, whatever the heck you want to call it, but it is hot down here. I haven't been down here in a while when it's hot. And I got pants on. Can't wait to get back home. What's that saying I was trying to think of? Hotter than a two-peckered billy goat in a pepper patch or something? Something my dad used to say all the time. Anyone remember what that saying was? I don't even know what it means.
It's nearly 100 degrees outside here in Baghdad. Kennedy's first game is almost over. They're winning 12 runs to 0. I'm gonna come get something to eat real quick. Then her next game starts in about half an hour. So I got the diner burger. It has some special sauce on it. I'm not sure what, but it was very good. And this place is cute. It looks just like an old retro diner.
And I made it to my final stop. Had to pick up some Baja Designs stuff for the tail lights on the Toyota. There's our drive shaft. Getting my parts. Look at them things. Now that's some drive shafts right there. Gotta love these guys. Well, it was a long day. We made it home. Back to the coop. Try and get some stuff unloaded. And hopefully Jess will be home soon. I forgot to show you guys the drive shafts that I picked up. And when I got there, I realized that I screwed up and told them a 6-inch slip yoke was good, but this is actually, we're gonna have to change this. Luckily, you know, these are just set to mock up. They're not welded or anything, but we need a 10.5-inch travel up front just in case he decides to really use that thing. It just keeps from having to, you know, it won't pull it out. What happens with leaf springs is if you don't have a long travel slip yoke and everything just right, it'll wind the spring up when the front tries to get traction and the rear doesn't, and it just kind of pulls that slip yoke right out, which it's happened to many of people. But that was our fix back in the day, was a 10.5-inch travel slip yoke. So I'll have to get that swapped out, but we can at least mock them up, make sure they fit and cycle, clear the pan. So I'll get these transmissions unloaded and the rest of the stuff. Figured I'd show you some of the stuff that I picked up. Start with this tail light setup that Eddie made me. What do you think? We tried to put a little detail in it just to make it where it wasn't flat, but they screw right through the front. These register in, they got a little indentation for them, and I think it's gonna look freaking awesome. I can't wait to get this bumper on here and stuff. I just got it sitting up here right now, but these will be right in here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly how, but it's gonna look pretty sweet, I think. I'm freaking out. I want to just get started on this right now, but I got other things to do. This is the one for the squadron that's gonna go in the front on the front deal. And I messed up when I told Eddie I didn't think about, these were supposed to be counterboard. This was supposed to be a little bit thicker aluminum and counterboard in so that it would fit in a tube. But I'm gonna work my way around that because I think I'm actually going to make this outer corner out of sheet metal. I'm gonna box this in, it's gonna come up, and then the light's gonna set on an angle. These lights are gonna be pretty bright, so I figured, you know what, if they're not shining right at the car, if they're shining off at an angle, then they won't blind someone, because they're like off-road lights, but I don't care, they're gonna get blinded. They're just gonna be turn signals and brake lights, so it's not like they're gonna be on all the time. And another thing that I didn't think about that Dustin told me when I was there, he goes, hey, you need a 4th red light for a brake light. And I'm not a light person or a LED person, but I'm hoping there's 2 bulbs in the red light thing. I'm hoping maybe we can split one off somehow and make one the running light and one the turn signal on the 2 filaments that are in the red. But if not, I'm not gonna worry about it because I got some other lights we'll put up here. It'll work, it's gonna look good, trust me. But this fender flare is gonna come out and then in, and this, just picture this bumper being raised up here, like it's gonna come up and then over here, and this light's gonna set on an angle, and the sheet metal's gonna come at an angle, and then it's gonna be another angle to about right here, and that fender flare is gonna be about 1.5 to 2 inches wide down here when I get the flare done, and then it's gonna grow from there, and it's gonna go out to, I'd like to go out to at least 4 inches, maybe more, enough to set your beer on there, you know? So, or your soda, you know, some people don't drink beer. I don't drink beer. I try not to. But this is what I was thinking for the squadrons. They were gonna mount in there, and then I'll just have to figure out, you know, the wiring, because it just, I'll probably have to nip the back off and put my own plug inside, but that's my idea. So I just didn't want lights mounted. You know how it just looks kind of clustery when you got just a light sticking up on top? You know, all the new cars and stuff, everything's built into the bumper. So I thought it would be cool to have these in the bumper. So I hope you like it. I'm gonna like it. I got my other hole saws. They didn't have 1.5 inch. I was kind of bummed out. Actually, when I got there, I had told them, you know, I ordered them on the phone and said, hey, can you have them ready? I paid for them. And they were like $600 something, almost $700 for the ones that I ordered. And there was 4 of them. And I'm like, man, are you sure? That just doesn't seem right. And the guy goes, yeah, well, when I got there, the reason it wasn't right was because it was a bigger carbide bit for like a mag drill or something, you know, something for a big drill. And I'm like, yeah, that's the wrong crap. So I picked up all kinds of stuff. Got my U-bolts again and some welding supplies for PETA and some pencils and stuff. And then my tube to build my new spring hanger with, and I'll use that for the receiver hitch. Not spring hanger, spring perch on the axle. There's a difference. And it's not even gonna get welded, it'll just get put on there, and then you can, that way you can adjust the 4-link and stuff if you wanna change it, and then the U-bolts just clamp it. It doesn't really need to do anything else. Time for a late night dinner. They said they're closed, but they would make me some wings. Waiting on my Uber. Oh, I think I see my Uber. Oh, my Uber is the queen.
Me.
Safe driving today, dear? Do you have fun? She
Yeah.
just literally got back from Baghdad. What a beautiful place, huh?
Yeah.
She said there was a cafe there and a school.
I took a picture of the cafe, or I mean a video. but I forgot to take video of the game.
Oh,
I was
boy.
busy on TikTok.
She's TikToking.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't watch the game?
Well, I did, but I didn't video the game.
Oh.
I was sitting.
Good morning, it's Saturday. Peter made it up. He's gonna be gluing some crap together. I gotta get all these fenders and stuff off and get stuff where he can get to it. Well, it looks like Donnie rolled in. Morning, Donnie. How's the drive?
Yeah, it was alright.
See?
Lots of cops this time.
Oh yeah?
Rarely
As
ever
long as
see
they didn't get you, right?
They didn't.
Yeah, running from the law, breaking the law.
Little fucking drive
Here's
around,
your
huh?
bearing deal, Donnie. Donnie says, first things first.
Yep.
He's got to take his medicine.
Yep. Just about to ask.
Oh, Pete is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need some of that medicine too, huh? I'm gonna go do some exercise while these guys burn it up.
Out, mister.
Smells like fresh cut lawn, man.
Take a whiff.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that stuff's not for me, but
Fresh cut.
yeah, it's like someone's gonna burn some grass. Mrs. C said she wants me to exercise with her.
Yeah.
So I ditched the work for a minute. What are we doing today, dear?
You wanted to do a
Standing abs. Oh yeah.
And it's with weights.
Oh goody.
Pick your poison.
You are my poison.
Poison? You're the poison.
Well, you know what I mean.
Get your weights. And
You're my medicine. Them guys that got their own medicine out there.
Okay.
All right, you guys, here we are today. Gonna put some air lockers and bearing kit in this light duty 14 bolt. Getting ready to pull the carrier. We're not doing a gear change on the rear, only on the front. Not sure how many of you guys have ever pulled a carrier out of one of these, but I kind of like the way they're set up. They got this spanner on one side and a shim on the other, and it's kind of nice to set them up like that to where you don't have to keep pulling the carrier out, re-shim everything every time. So you just be able to put one shim on this side and adjust it from the adjuster. So yeah, it's kind of nice to be able to just move this adjuster on this side and pop the carrier out of the thing. No pry bars, you just adjust it back. It just comes right out.
The 9.5 ARB, Donnie said they've changed some stuff since the last ones he's messed with. The bearing, or
The bearing used to go on first, and then the O-ring housing went on secondary. But now that they've changed the bearing housing, and I like the way they've redesigned it and made it all go through one side, and the ring gear bolts holding on, because the failure of the old ARBs used to be the bolts that used to secure it together on one side used to come apart, and that's how it failed like that.
So their designs are getting better and better
Better.
every day.
Definitely.
Everything about the old ARB, we love them.
Yeah, did nice square O-rings in there, not the round old style O-rings. And those new O-rings have, each one has 4 lips, 2 lips a piece, so you got better sealing.
And of course, nothing but the best gears in the biz.
Motive,
That's what we run in the race cars. Pretty much everything. If we put gears in something, if Motive makes it, that's what we use. This thing's getting gangbanged. Pete is down there gluing, and Donnie's down there banging on it, knocking the pinion out. And I'm getting ready to put my transmission in. I've just been doing a little cleanup and trying to go through some things. Make sure I got all the stuff ordered that I need. I got the old adapter on the transmission here, so we can get it over here and start getting this in the race car. Hopefully we can make smoke before lunch. There she blows. Donnie's smashed his hand.
14 bolts are the hardest ones. These light duty ones, man, they really get stuck on that crush sleeve, and it's
doesn't
one
like
of the
to
hardest
come.
ones I've ever got apart.
Okay, she's good to let down. This thing comes in pretty handy.
Right tool for the right job.
Yeah. Now we just got the cooler lines, get the starter, converter bolted up, drive shaft back in it. Nothing major, LOL. Going to town. And someone reminded me about that right there, not putting a hole in there. Thank you, whoever that was, I can't remember, but Peter's gonna leave it and then we'll open it up with the drill bit. So she's got a nice little weep hole. Thank you, whoever that was. She is looking beautiful. Check that out. Kind of a funky little setup, but I hope you like it. We still got a little bit more welding to do in here. Then we got the transmission shift linkage. This thing really is pretty easy to work on. Not as easy as my old one-seater, but when you got a fuel tank covering the tranny and all this stuff. And then this is my shifter selector deal. It kind of tells the dash what gear I'm in, and you know, helps with programming and everything. When we have a problem, they can, you know, see the transmission shifts, what gear it's in, and pressures and everything. And that's kind of how we started noticing stuff. You know, as soon as we had some failures, we got the logs, and Josh from FTA started going through the logs, and he's like, yeah, this thing, you know, you're losing pressure at this point or whatever. I mean, you can map the track out basically with all the computer technology and use it for track setups. I'm not to that point, but some of them guys that are serious short course racers, they use it for selecting gears and ratios and stuff, and there is so much stuff you can do these days. I'm only used to the old school Neanderthal way, just put it in D for do it. That's my program. We got a lot of stuff going on here today. It's kind of hectic. And then the cross member, get it up in there. This one's kind of a tight little deal. Just the way it bolts up. There she is. Nice. And then I like to start these little bolts here before I put the outer bolts in. It just kind of helps get everything lined up. The big 1/2-inch ones are easy. So I got a little point kind of sanded on them, and I just start them and go to town. All right, I brought the jack in just to take a little pressure off and raise this up. See if we can get this side started. There we go. I'm gonna have to get the pry bar on that one just to get it run in there. Oh yeah, I just had to push a little harder. Get this jack out of the way. And then put some nuts canuts on there. And then we'll be done with that. Sweet. Clean one owner. So Donnie had to droop that out so he can get the drill in there to drill for the ARB fitting.
Yep, 7/16 hole with a quarter pipe.
Just like that.
That's all she wrote.
Lightning holes, is that what you call them?
Yeah. You want more?
Put some in the bottom. Gotta love it. My wife is so festive. I love her. She makes life fun. Like I said, he's a contortionist. Got our starter hooked back up. Now I just need to get the dipstick in it, get some fluids in it. Oh yeah, forgot the drive shaft. Meanwhile, over here in Christmas land, or whatever the hell you call it, Pete is making it purty.
So when you guys are tapping the housing, you drill at 7/16 and you go about 4 or 5 threads with the quarter pipe tap before it goes all the way in. You don't want to go all the way in with it. You want to leave like 3 or 4 threads, and then that's a perfect depth for the bulkhead to go in. Just a little FYI, when you're torquing this yoke down here and you get that crush lead kind of where you want it, you take the hammer and you hit the end of this guy, which shock loads it and it loosens it up a little more, and you keep doing that a couple times until you get a nice steady drag on it. Because if you just tighten it up the first time and you leave it alone, the first time you stab the gas, it's going to shock load, it's going to loosen the pinion up, it's going to eat the ring and pinion up. So just a little FYI.
Okay, I think we're ready to prime the oil pump and everything. Get this thing off of here. Oh, and my battery dies.
Yep, we got 90 PSI. 107 PSI.
We'll give it a whirl now.
She's alive!
Donnie is working on the air fittings and stuff, and it comes with an assortment of different things you can use. You know, they're plastic hose, or they give you this right here, which is a banjo that goes to some metric threads. But what we end up doing is we take and use all their hardware, except for we add this, we use our own banjo that takes it to number 3. That's a quick, easy deal. And it comes, you just use the washers that it comes with already. So it works out very well. I hope you can hear me. The race car's running, it's a little noisy, but yeah, this one is actually made to go into, you know, you can banjo it, or you can put it in the top, right into this. But this is what we like to do, and then we make our own -3 hoses to go to the compressor.
All right. We got our airline all done. We got our caps all torqued. That's kind of how I like to do it. Just come up around, give it plenty of room for everything so the oil can't ever push it down into the ring gear. Because this new line is it's a little more malleable, so it's a little easier to work with. The old line used to be super tough, but yeah, that's pretty much what she looks like. Top, and there's our bulkhead fitting.
started laying out my spring perches. This is gonna give me another inch of height, and we'll articulate it again and check it, but I figured we'd start with an inch, and if I need more than that, I might look elsewhere to get it, but I think that's gonna probably do it.
All right, another little tip when you guys are putting inner axle seals in, always grease that seal. It only gets one chance to live, so if you don't grease it, she ain't gonna live. And I also like to put a little silicone on that before I hammer that seal in there.
I had to come up to CarQuest real quick, which is now bumper to bumper, I guess. But I need a pan gasket for that transmission for some reason. It's leaking, and I didn't see anything wrong with it, but we're gonna get one and see what the hell. Uh-oh, Mama's all happy. She got 976 followers on TikTok. And me, I only have 0.
My lunch plans with Dana. I have to go back.
Thanks for making us a chef salad.
Yeah, did you
good.
get eggs out?
Yep, we ate them all.
Okay.
Delicious.
Jess is going for a ride with her friends. They're going to hang out, go have some lunch or something. Why, me and Donnie and Peter are slaving away here. Working on my stupid pan gasket. I wish I knew what the deal was. I hope it's nothing crazy. I never have one leak, but it was leaking like a pig. Well, it seems to be good now. I'm not sure. Well, I've done and messed it up again, Donnie. It was not a pan gasket leak. That's why the pan gasket didn't look messed up. It was my blind ass. Let me show you. So this fitting, right there, you can see it. It wasn't tight. And I swear I checked it, but you know how it is. That's why you never put the skid plate on until you're done working on it. But it was loose as hell, and then it was just running down looking like it was the pan gasket. So always pay more attention than me, if that makes any sense, right, Donnie?
That's right.
Dummies. Dummy, I mean. I can't call you a dummy. You didn't do nothing.
We're only human.
Pete has knocked his welding program out, and he is making the spring perches, and I screwed up and told him that they were small, and now he's having to use the unibit to open them up. He's got the bumper all welded. Donnie's working on the front diff now. So we're driving the inner sills in. Donnie's holding that junk, and I'm driving it from out here. We didn't have to pull the wheels off because there's no axles or nothing.
All right, here we go. We're doing the front 10 bolt. ARB says to drill a drain hole on this side over here, on the vent side on the bottom, so it can drain fluid from the housing over there. And if you don't do it, it creates pressure. It already has that notch on the top right there to vent, but they need the oil to drain back out of there because it'll fill that cavity full.
So Peter got this side on, and I could only go an inch with that size tubing. I did not think about that, so hopefully an inch is enough to keep it out of there and at least get it level. If it's level, then that's what we're gonna have to deal with. And I won't cut these U-bolts until we're done, LOL. So Peter gonna be playing Fabricator now. He's gonna make some end caps for the frame rails. I'm gonna get him some nuts to weld on it. We're making a place where we can bolt the bumper onto the back of the FJ. Arizona Drive Shaft hooked us up with nice new yoke, 1350. So Pete has got this marked. He's gonna cut this off, put that nut plate welded on there, and then this bumper's gonna bolt right up to the outside. On the Scrambler, I made it slide over it, and it was a pain in the butt because just the inside of the bumper's open. I wanna cap the bumper and make it sealed, so we are going to trim I made it just a little long. I got an 1/8 inch to cut off each side in sand. And then we're gonna weld tubes through so we have countersunk Allens in there. So we made these plates, and I have these little pieces of all thread laying around, and we want these to be identical. So each plate, there's 2 plates here, we're gonna weld them on. They're gonna weld right onto the end of that. That's gonna be how we're gonna mount the bumper on there. So Pete is gonna TIG weld these on each side, and then we'll, oh, well, maybe we better change this program just a little bit. I better use a bolt on this side so we can pull it apart. So we use bolts instead of the all thread. That way we can actually pull them out, and they're just barely started, just enough to keep them on the same where they're straight. And then we just pull these out.
That's why for 125 years, Firestone has been building tires.
Everything's nice and centered. Now you can weld that PETA. And then we'll weld this one up. Pieces make parts. And then we'll get these marked. Once we get them spotted on there, I did transfer them, but I'm gonna make sure that everything's perfect before I punch these.
Well, the weather's beautiful. I didn't want to go home, so we're kind of off-roading. I wanted to ride. Beautiful out here. Yeah, Shannon just dusted this thing off. There might be a lot of dust. Sorry about it. Sorry, honey.
PETA got the pieces. He's welding them in the chassis. I measured off of it before I punched these, or center punched them. So now I'm gonna hole saw them 1 inch, and then we're gonna do like we did on the front bumper. We're gonna take 1 inch 120 wall. We're gonna slide 3/4 120 wall inside. And what that does is allows us to countersink this Allen. And that's what's gonna hold this on the bumper. Show you what PETA's got going on over here. He's got a full V. I don't know if you can see that. You always want a full V like that. That way you get full penetration and a full weld. And it's nice and square. Donnie's up here putting the front back together, putting the winch on, using the hoist to hang the heavy 8274.
I forgot how heavy they are.
Yeah. Well, we were younger back then. It was a lot easier to. I remember I used to hold it up with one hand and put the bolts in by myself about a few years back. Now I got to get the old Warren hoist to get the Warren winch on there. But they're worth their weight in gold for sure. And then not to mention, just the retro look of it on this FJ40 is going to be the schnez, man. And once we get that bumper on there, we'll put the tires on the rear, set it down and cycle it, and see how close we are to clearing this. See if I'm gonna cry or not cry. I'm gonna get my new hole saw. I love these things. They cut so perfect and clean. They don't rip the drill out of your hand because they grab a tooth or something dumb. So I'll pilot these and then we'll punch them front and rear. Pedal pumping mofo.
All right, we made it out of the woods. We're gonna go to Sweet Slade's Creamery and Blades. Have you been here, Dana?
Yes, I've been here one time. It was really good.
haven't
They
been
named
here.
all the ice cream after their children.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Hi. Okay, Dana, open up. I don't know what room this is, do you?
Yeah, it's the game room.
Oh. This is at the ice cream shop.
Yep, and you can come in here and just hang out. But, that's the chessboard.
We can hang out in there, like inside that chest?
Well, I think that opens up in the back and takes you,
Into the ice cream shop? You get in there and tell me how that works out for you.
there's a movie that they go through the track, remember?
Oh, the boss is back. Well, how was your Saturday outing? What did you guys do? You went four-wheeling?
I didn't have to put it in four-wheel drive. I went on a Forest Service road, but yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad someone's getting to use it. We're getting some stuff done. She's coming together, man.
Where was Donnie? Okay?
Yeah, he went to get something to drink. Yeah, I can't wait to see this on here. It's gonna be so sick. So he's gonna take these and weld these flush, just spot them for now. And then what we'll do is we'll bolt them onto them pieces right there. And then these are gonna take just a little bit of opening up. You know how it is when you're measuring here and then going over there and measuring. So it's close, it almost went on, but the bolt's bound up a little bit. So I'm gonna open these up and we'll just get that situated by doing that. And I use these barrel sanders for everything. I have a few different sizes. I wish I had a tool that just held every one of them. That way I could just grab it. I wouldn't have to keep changing them, but someone actually sent me an extra one of these. So I got 2 of these, thanks to that guy. But I'm gonna open these up just a little bit. Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh,
Now that's what you call getting lucky.
very nice.
So if you're ever doing something and you want to open, say this is a 7/16 washer and I want to put it on a 1/2-inch bolt because I'm trying to get the smaller diameter, a lot of times they call that like a machine washer, and they sell them, but then you got a bunch of different crap. So what I do is I take my little reamer here and I just barely open it. A little bit more. Look at that. So now I have a nice tight little washer, and the reason I want these is because we're gonna make them for spacers to push them little slugs out. Here, Peter, put this one on one. So what we're doing is we're putting them on here so it pushes that sleeve out, so we have a full V weld. So that's gonna be our weld on the inside. So I'm gonna finish these up. So we've put them in on each one, and we left them just a little loose, so that will slide on. That washer looks a little thicker, but it'll be all right. It's just to give us enough room to weld.
Where's the other slug?
Did I take it over here? Oh, it's in the bumper.
It's in the bumper, fool.
See, Pedro, Pita. Hey, where'd you get that shirt at, Pita? She's got what?
1,001 TikTok followers. So guys, if you don't follow me, I'm still trying to build it up. It's at The Real Mrs. Campbell or Jess Campbell on TikTok. You should go follow me. And probably go follow my husband too.
Here, come here and hold this for me.
I don't remember what his name is though, besides Shannon Campbell.
Oh yeah. So hold this at this angle, but don't cover up my light. I'm just trying to visualize. What do you think? I think it's gonna be pretty sick. Actually, it'll probably be up here because I'm gonna make the metal come up here and then come here. And I'm thinking if I can bring it up high enough, maybe I cut another little triangle window in, maybe. I don't know. Might look even cooler, just another little detail. A lot more work, but you know how it is. I like the cool stuff.
Yeah, you make
And the hot chick,
complicated.
my wife. So Pete is underneath welding. There's a cross member right here. And I told him, I said, "Why, this is bolted up. Go ahead and pull that weld on it." Because what happens is when you TIG on it, that thing will come in and our bumper will no longer fit. So we don't want to do any welding without the bumper bolted on. But he's just getting it somewhat situated in there. We left it unwelded because we were unsure if we wanted it there, but we do want it there, so that's where we're at. And then I marked these holes with a regular license plate. This is just one we had left over. So then I can drill and tap them. And then when we're got everything else done, I'll make another receiver mount that bolts in with this 4 bolts and then welds to the tube behind it. Then he can tow his boat trailer or whatever the hell he wants. I'm loving it. Hope you guys love it. Last little piece. And then I won't be able to mess with it till I get back from the race in Moab, but this is where it starts coming up. And I'm hoping that I have enough room to continue this window right here to make it worthwhile. I don't know if I will or not, but we're gonna give it a shot. So it looks like it just kind of comes up, and then that light will be up here, maybe. We'll see. But we made some side caps. These are gonna be just what I add on to weld more stuff on, so here she blows. Saturday's work is done. It was a long day. We got the license plate in there. We got it mounted. Peter got my pieces on so I can add on to it. This is where it's gonna go up and over. You can't tell how I'm holding it, but I got an angle and that's what I'm gonna do. And I might even cut the body out right here to make the bumper, you know, I'm gonna make it wrap the body, but then open this up, cut all that crap out of the back of there, and I'll run a strap up and strap it in just so it's open to the back side, because there's some crappy, nasty channel in there anyway that's just gonna hold mud. So the more I can take out of there, the better it's gonna look. But when I put that on that angle and then build it into the fender flare, that's when it's gonna get sick looking. And hopefully, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to or not, but continue the window over here. So that's that. And then we got the whole thing back together. We had it all apart. Donnie got all the gears set up today. ARBs, got them in there. The covers should be here next week when I'm at Moab. They should come, hopefully. The winch is all back on there and stuff. Pete welded up the front, and then somehow I got to look at that. I want to incorporate the same thing into the rear so that it matches. And it's also nice when you want to just hook someone up or do something like that. So I'm not sure where I'm going to put them. Maybe we don't, but if I got room and I can make it blend, it's definitely going in there. Now let's articulate it and see how she blows. See if I'm gonna cry or if our little perches that we extended helped out. I hate to do it, but if I have to, I'll cut that dang wheel well out of there, and I'll cut that off and raise it up with the wheel well, but we'll see. All right, I think we're gold. By the time I get the bump stops on it and all the stuff, it's gonna be perfect. I'm in love with that rear bumper. I can't wait. I sure hope my vision of what I'm gonna do turns out where it works. This is just touching, but I still gotta build a pad on top of these nuts. So there's gonna be like a pad that's got strip that goes down. There'll be holes in top big enough for a socket. So these are set down in flush. And then there's gonna be a bump stop up here that's bigger than that. So by the time that baby bumps out, it's going to be perfect. This will be off the wheel well, probably a 1/2 inch, maybe a little more. And then I can build this crap out here. It's gonna look awesome. But before I go building this stuff out here, I'll get the pads on there and the bump stops on there. So I'm not guessing that I think I know what I'm doing. It's actually working and perfect. So there you have it, man. Thank you guys for following along. And if you haven't subscribed, please do if you like my junk. I totally forgot that we have drive shafts to try in it, and check that out. Got my little weep hole that someone reminded me of, so thank you. Let's try some drive shafts, Donnie. Grab that front. So I don't even have my shims in here because I'm pointing this up a little bit. These are at a pretty good degree, but even where it's at, it cycles freely. Whoops, damn it. This is just barely in here. Yeah, it cycles freely. So once I get this pointed up where it needs to be, and then we get the 10.5 inch travel slip yoke, I'm pretty excited. I think it's gonna be awesome. And we know the rear is gonna work because it's just gonna work. So we've taken and compressed this leaf to where it's completely flat. This is why we wanted these shafts to mock up, you know, because we're not even close on the front. We need that 10.5 inch travel. That was my fault. I told them 6, but I just screwed up. And I just measured the caster on the axle. It's at 12. So we're putting a 6-degree shim, which will put us at 6 degrees on the caster, which is perfect for something like this. And it's gonna bring that pinion up, so we'll have to redo this measurement once I get them shims in there, which I have. I got some 2s, 4s, and 6s just to, because I wasn't sure what I was gonna use. So we'll release this, get the shims in there next week, or whenever I get back. All right, that's it finally, I think, LOL. Well, check it out, Brian. I hope you like it. It's pretty sweet looking. I did something a little different, just trying to keep it clean. Protrudes just a little bit, but not the whole fair lead sticking out. And then the back is really coming together. I'm loving it. I haven't quite figured out what I'm doing here, but it's gonna come out and it's gonna taper in 2 inches. And that bumper is gonna, check this out. This thing's looking sweet. This is going to come up like this mark right here. And then I'm gonna continue this out. And it's gonna come around and tie in. I'm gonna make a piece that wraps against the body. I might even cut the body out when I'm done, or leave a partial piece of it to bolt into the bumper. But it's gonna come out here and it'll be mitered and stuff, and whatever angle that this comes in at, this is gonna angle into the bumper and it'll all be mitered off. And if I have room, I'm gonna make another little window right here. But it's really looking sick. We got all the gears, ARBs in today. I gotta go race in Moab, so I won't get a chance to work on it for another week or so. But we knocked a bunch out.